Greetings, it's Charles McCall again, mentoring growing leaders, and you're in Leadership 101. And we're looking at lesson number 6, which is part 2 of 2 lessons on vision. And just want to remind you that vision is everything. Vision is the fountain. Vision is the beginning. Vision is the source of what you want to do, whether it's a vision for the entire entity, your church, your school, your business, your organization, or whether it's a vision for a department or a ministry in that school or business organization or church. Everything must have a vision, and the vision must be absolutely clear in your mind, and it must be clear in the minds of those that work with you, that volunteer with you, and for those, your customers, and those that are supporting you as well. And so in this second section, we're going to be talking about the importance of sharing your vision and helping people see what you see. And that's a challenge, isn't it? When it comes to communication, trying to take what's in your brain and what you see and what's in your heart and conveying that to your spouse, for example. We all have experience with that, and so communication is a challenge. So this is something that you're going to have to develop some skills on, because your vision will begin in your heart, but you must share it with others for it to become accomplished. And so that means you have to develop people skills. And so one of our lessons in this course is developing skills with people. Just talked to one of our pastors yesterday, one of the men that I'm mentoring, and he's got a situation with somebody that he's had wisdom, he's temporarily placed them into a role, not permanently, and he says it's just not working out because they lack the people skills. People are not gathering to them. People are not responding to this leader that he's placed there. And so we were discussing on what to do about that, but he's not gathering because he lacks people skills. And so you're going to have to be communicating with people, so you're going to have to develop some skills, and part of those skills is people skills. You're going to have to develop some writing skills to be able to write. And again, you can go to others. You don't have to be a great author, but you can go to others. You can have someone help you with the writing, but you must be able to develop some writing skills to be able to write your vision and to make it plain. And you have to develop some speaking, communication skills. You have to know how to be able to communicate your vision clearly and concisely. Just talking to a fellow missionary here from another country, and he's visiting us and having conversations. I'm trying to pick his brain. I'm trying to learn what he's done. He's been very successful, but it's very difficult for me to get the information that I want out of him. Not because he's trying to hide it, but I think it's just that, the way he thinks maybe in more of a big picture, and I think more in details. And so we have to be able to develop speaking skills. You can do it. You have the potential to lead at least at one level. You can develop some writing skills, and you can develop some speaking skills to be able to communicate your vision. If you're the director over a department and you work with volunteers, it's essential that you communicate the vision of the church and the vision and goals of your department and the ministry to the volunteers that are working with you. If you're a business people, to be able to communicate that to your customers. If you're an organization, to your donors and your sponsors. And so we must develop speaking skills. You must learn some about strategic planning. And so we have a lesson in this course on the basics of strategic planning. You must be organized. I'm working with one of our pastors. He's prepared to plant a church here in Cambodia, we hope in the next year. And he's not the most organized guy. And so we're working on him, developing organizational skills, being able to write things down and think through 1, 2, 3, 4. And you must develop some management skills. You don't have to be an expert in any of these, but you have to have some skills in all of them. When it comes to sharing your vision, you must be clear. You must be clear, and you cannot be vague. And so you don't receive your vision all at once. Now, you have a lifetime. Whatever age you're at, I'm 65 years old as I'm presenting this, and I've asked God for another 20 years. I've got a 20-year vision. I see what I think I want to do and what God wants to do in the next 20 years, and I'm excited about it. And but I didn't receive that kind of a vision when I was 20 years old, or 30 or 40 or 50 years old. And so the vision that God will give you for your life, and the vision that God will even give you, our vision here for our movement of churches in Cambodia the big vision has been the same for 23 years up to this time. But there's been various smaller aspects of it that we've adjusted as we've gained greater understanding, and we've seen more opportunities and new things come up, new possibilities come up. And so you don't get your whole vision at one time. You don't get your whole vision from one prayer retreat, but it develops over the time as you go through the various seasons of your life. Now, this is another lesson. I believe that I've created a video lesson on this subject, understanding the seasons of life. So it's very important for you, whatever season you're in. You may be in the season of a senior pastor right now. You may be in the season of a mid-level manager right now, or you may be a brand new leader. But there are various seasons. In the same way that there's various levels of leaders that we rise and we grow through, there's also various seasons of our life that we pass through. And so we're satisfied. This is the season that we're in. The nature of a season is it's not forever. A season is for a period of time, and then it shifts into something different. And so you're in a season of life right now. You may be responsibilities in one area, the organization, school, business, or church, but that more than likely in the next few years, more than likely that's going to change. And so the vision may change, and God may increase it. God may show you more. And so your vision can change as you grow through life. And so what we're talking about now, though, is the vision for where you're at in your life, in your ministry, in your business, organization, or school for the next 10 years. That's what we're looking at. What do you see for the next 10 years? And so you must be able to share that vision, and you have to share it concisely. Concise is probably the opposite of verbose. Verbose is talking too much, of saying too much. This is one of my weaknesses. I tell people I give long answers to short questions. That's not always good. Often they're interested in what I have to say, but sometimes I overkill. But you need to be able to, when someone asks you, what is your vision for this particular department? What is your vision for your business? What is your vision for your school? You should be able to answer clearly and concisely what your vision is. And then you should also be able to explain it more in depth. And that really should be an exercise to you. If you cannot write out the vision for your department or your ministry or your area of responsibility, if you cannot write it out concisely, then you're not clear about it. Someone said that if there's fog in the pulpit, there's going to be fog in the pew. If the preacher's not clear of what the message is he's trying to get across, the people who listen are not going to be clear as well. And so you need to be clear, you need to be able to write it concisely, and you also need to be able to write it and share it in detail as well. And so you have to write it down. Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. God says to Habakkuk, go to the mountain or go to the watchtower, and you wait there, and I'm going to reveal a vision. Write the vision and make it plain. And so it's part of what God wants us to do. Write the vision and to make it plain. Another aspect of vision is that it must be clear, but also you're going to need a mentor. A mentor is someone who has been where you want to go. A mentor is someone who has the experience that you don't yet have. And so you're going to need mentors for various aspects of your life, various aspects of your business. Just yesterday, I was reading about 7 keys for successful small businesses. One of the keys for a successful small business is get a mentor. Find someone else who's run a successful small business and come under them and receive advice and guidance from them. And so you're probably going to need a leadership mentor. And so there are people that you respect, people that you can feed off of, people that you can bounce things off of. I'm a leadership mentor to a lot of different people. They come to me all the time, and I'm privileged to tell them what I know. And if I don't know it, I'll tell them I don't know it. You're going to need a leadership mentor. You're probably going to need a management mentor, someone who has more management skills than you do and who can give you guidance, at least in the basics of it. If you're a business person, you're going to need a business mentor, and you might need a relationship mentor. I have relationship mentors. I'll tell you honestly that relationship skills with people is a thing that I lack in my life, and I've had to really work on it over the years. And so that's why when I share with you, what I'll share with you in one of the later lessons, it comes from my life on how to develop good relationships with people. And so you might need a relationship mentor, people that can guide you in how to have good, better quality relationships with others. And so with your mentor, you want to share your vision with them. and you want to get feedback from them. I just did this. I'm working on a particular project, and I've got an Obi-Wan Kenobi. I call him Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's my mentor. And so I just created something, and I just sent it to them. I said, please take a look at this and give me some feedback on what you think, because he's been there. He's doing something that I want to do. And by the way, you're going to have to study. You're going to have to study formally. You're going to have to take some classes. You're going to have to read some books, and you're going to have to join some seminars. And so you need to gain some knowledge in order to be able to gain some experience. You ask questions from people who have more experience than you. And so I'll be honest with you, when I hear people that talk, I kind of wonder, are they a real learner? Sometimes it's best just to sit and listen and to ask questions from people who have more experiences than you and more success than you, and also learn from people's failures. You know, we can read in the Bible. I hope that you have John Maxwell's leadership Bible, because it's a lifesaver. Just one of my sons in the faith just preached last night. He preached on how to preach, on how to prepare, and he said he had two Bibles. He had his Cambodian Bible in one hand, and he had his Maxwell Study Leadership Bible in the other hand. It's huge. I use it all the time. There's all kinds of keys, because John Maxwell shows the positive characteristics as well as the negative characteristics. And so we can learn from people's failures. We can learn, you should study history. You should read historical books. You should read biographies, and you should read the Bible. And so you can gain insight from people's successes, but you can also gain insight from people's failures. And so that's a plug for the John Maxwell Leadership Bible. There's another thing. When it comes to sharing vision, you need to be passionate. Sometimes some of us need to come out of our personality. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a quiet person. If I'm not doing something like this, or if I'm not talking about something that I'm really passionate about, I'm not talking. I prefer to be by myself. I prefer to be in a quiet place, alone, and rather than being around people. But if I've got a vision, I have to come out of my personality. In fact, it's not very difficult, because, as I shared with you before, vision creates a fire on the inside of you. Vision creates a passion on the inside of you. And so you must be passionate about your vision. Again, I'll be honest with you, I've been a missionary for 23 years. And we've had a fairly, no brag, just fact, but we've had a quite successful ministry here in Cambodia. And I'm known all over the country. I'm known all over the world. I was spending Christmas with my wife's family here recently. And they said, you know what, why don't you, my sister-in-law said, why don't you share with the rest of the family, the nephews and our grandchildren and stuff, about what you do. And so again, I said I have a tendency to give a long answer to a short question, and I felt like I probably went too long sharing the fantastic journey that God has led us on and the challenges and the success. And when I finished, I said, you know, I'm sorry, I probably talked too long. And one of the young men that was sitting next to me, one of the son-in-laws, he said, "You are amazing to listen to." You know why he said that? I think there's some interesting things that has happened in my life. But not only that, I shared it with passion. I shared it with something in my eyes. I shared it with something in my heart and my expressions of what I believe that God is doing, what God is going to do more. And so you need to be passionate about your vision. One of my heroes for many years has been John Wesley. And John Wesley lived from 1703 to 1791. And you probably know who John Wesley was. And he became a Christian in England. His ideas was different from the state church at that time. As he began to study the scriptures and consider how the best and most effective and efficient ways of doing things, kind of came up with some different ideas from the established church at that time. So they didn't let him preach in their church buildings. He did not have a license, and he was not able to preach in their church buildings. And so eventually he started his own organization. And we know that nowadays as the Methodist Church. And the word Methodist was at first a derogatory term toward him because he was so methodical. He was very organized, and he was very strategic. And as I think back through my history, I've asked myself, where did I learn how to be strategic, and where did I learn how to be methodical at? And I studied a lot about John Wesley, and I think he might be the guy that influenced me over all these years to be more strategic and to be more strategic, more planning, have more methods of what I'm doing, more organized in what I'm doing. Just some statistics about John Wesley that might be interesting to you. His passion, remember, passion drives you. Vision creates passion, and passion drives you. John Wesley rode more than almost 250,000 miles during his lifetime on horseback to preach. 250,000 miles, 400,000 kilometers during his lifetime, his ministry time of 50-some years, to preach. He rode approximately 4,500 kilometers per day, or approximately 2,800 miles, annually. So every year he would ride about almost 3,000 miles annually on horseback to preach. You know what? That takes a commitment. I've ridden horses before, and it's not one of my favorite things to do because it's bumpy and it seems to be tiresome. And maybe if you learn how to ride properly, it's not so tiresome. But he created cell groups. He created small groups of 11 people in the groups. And again, this is a long time before Paul Young Cho came out with the idea of cell groups. Actually, cell groups goes back to the Bible, is where you get it from, Acts chapter 2. And throughout the book of Acts is where you get the concept of creating small groups in the church. But John Wesley got hold of it there in the 1700s, and so he created small groups, 11 people in every group, and a leader, 12, the same as Jesus had. And they would meet together to discuss the Bible, to discuss their spiritual life, and to receive offerings and to share with one another. And he preached thousands of sermons. He preached thousands and thousands of sermons. And he often preached 3 times a day. He wrote 5,000 lessons, tracts, and booklets. He was only 5 foot 2 inches tall, 1.6 meters, and he was the 13th of 15 children. And he lived until he was 87 years old, and he served the Lord in full-time ministry 53 years. This is a guy that's a model. This is a guy that had a vision that drove him. I would say he produced a lot of fruit. My point is he produced a lot of fruit. Why did he produce a lot of fruit and lasting fruit? Because he had a vision. He had a vision to reach his nation for Jesus. And so maybe you have a vision for your business, you have a vision for your school, you have a vision for your organization or church. Allow that vision to create a passion in you. Here's a quote that I've always remembered that I read from John Wesley. When they wouldn't let him preach in the churches, the church buildings, and so he preached in the open fields. And thousands of people came to hear him in the open field. And one day someone asked them, Brother Wesley, why do so many people come and listen to you out in these fields? His reply, set yourself on fire and people will come and watch you burn. Set yourself on fire and people will come and watch you burn. You know, I've shared with you that I've got a lot of faults, and I'm not the most educated person. Honestly, if I read a book, I've got to read it 3 or 4 times, underline it and highlight to try to remember things. I'm not the smartest cookie in the box. But one thing I have is I have passion. I have passion, and that passion is like a flame that reaches out and touches others, as that passion is what drives me. Set yourself on fire, and people will come and watch you burn. Good key for us. You share your vision, and you must share how joining your vision is going to benefit others. How, if you're encouraging people to join your church, to purchase your product, to attend your school, you need to communicate, how is this going to benefit you? You know, I'll be honest with you, I've attended church for a long time, over 44, 45 years at this point, and church announcements. Church announcements, by the way, kill the presence of God. Church announcements kill any life that is going on. And they're often dull, they're often boring, and they only share information. Come to this event, women's meeting, children's meeting, outreach crusade, whatever it is, come and join us. I have rarely seen a church announcement that has tried to let the listeners know why. Why should I waste my time? Why should I spend my life? My time is my life. Why should I spend my money? Why should I travel? Why should I join that event? What benefit is it going to be to me? Well, just do it because it's the right thing to do. You know, that only goes so far. And so we need to be sharing with people What is the benefit? If you come to this event, if you come and study, if you purchase this series, I guarantee you, you will rise to a new level of leadership. You will gain skills. And in the introductory video, I shared with you some of those skills. You will learn how to get a vision, share a vision, and apply a vision. You will learn strategic skills on how to create a strategic plan. You will understand the 9 steps that you go through to bring something to completion, a project to completion. You will learn specific people skills. You will learn about the 5 different levels of leaders and how you can rise from one level to another. And so it's important that in your business, in your organization, your school, or your church, it's important for us to share why this will benefit those that come. Why should they come and join our vision? And so why should they buy our product? Why should they attend our class? Why should we hire you? And why should you hire me? And why should we give to that organization to support that organization? And so we need to give some evidence of that, some benefits. They join with us in our vision, whatever that may be. They might receive financial benefit from that. They will have joy in helping others. They will receive recognition. They'll help solve the problems and meet a need. And so our vision must be clear. We must be able to present it concisely. We must be able to explain it clearly as well. And we must convince them that are listening with our words and with our presentation and through advertising, whatever means that we use. And so we must have the mindset, I need to convince them and persuade them that what I'm doing is worth their valuable investment in that as well. Let's talk about implementing vision. It's one thing to get a vision. It's another thing to share the vision, but it's another thing to implement that vision. I'm hesitant to share a personal testimony, but often churches, for example, at the beginning of every year, they have a great vision for the new year. They put banners up, and they have special banquets maybe, or pass out flyers, but they say, declare, this is what we're going to do in the new year. I've been part of churches that have done this great presentation, this is what we're going to do in the new year, but they have not moved forward on it. They have no plan. This is what we're going to see. We're going to see, I was in a church one time, and in 1988, we're going to see 888 people added to our church in 1988. And so after that great vision casting sermon, absolutely nothing was done. There was no plan on how to get 888 people. There was no process. There was no strategy on how to do that. And so it's one thing to get a vision. It's another thing to share that vision, but it's yet another thing to implement that vision. In your slides, you're going to see a chart. You're going to see 2 slides. Slide number 1, steps 1 through 5, and slides number 2, steps 6 through 9. It's a strategic project implementation. And each one of these steps is critical for you to be able to implement your vision. And so you're going to follow this through. Number 1 is vision. Everything starts with vision. What do you see God wanting you to do? Or what do you see for your life, your ministry, your organization, business, school in the future? So what do you see? Everything. I mentioned this before, that if it's a class, if it's a project, if it's an event, what's the end goal? What do you see is the end goal? That always needs to be the first question. The second thing is you need to establish goals. So what are the goals? And goals are usually associated with numbers. What do you see? We want to see, yesterday I had an event and I wanted to see 25 people, 30 people. We prepared food for 30 people. And so that was my goal. And so my vision was to do this event, and I had what I wanted to, I saw what I wanted to happen, and it happened just as I saw it in my mind's eye. I had the goal was 30 people. I told my assistant prepare food for 30 people. We had 39 people, so we exceeded our goals. But you need goals. And again, when we get to strategic planning, we'll talk more about this. You need goals for you need goals for your entire entity, and you need goals for every aspect, every department, every ministry inside that entity. You need at least a 3-year goal. They say 5-year goal. 5-year might be a little stretch for some of us, but at least 3-year goals. And you need annual goals. Annual goals are so important. And then you need, a goal is what you want to see happen. As I said, it usually is associated with numbers. And you need a strategy. Strategy answers the question, how are we going to achieve those goals? What exactly are we going to do? And so strategy can be changed, and you'll see it should be changed, should be adjusted as we move forward in the year or years. And after you do that, then you determine staffing. What kind of staff do I need? Paid staff, volunteer staff. What kind of people do I need to be able to accomplish the vision, accomplish the goals, and do the strategy? What kind of people? I'm going to need finance people. I'm going to need people with what kind of skills? And then the next question is budget. How much money do I need to do all of that? Usually, my experience is that most organizations and churches, it's upside down. They start with the budget. The first question is, how much money do I need? To do what? How do you know how much money you need unless you know what the vision is, you know what the goals are, you know what the strategy is, you know what the staffing needs are. And then you can determine how much money you need, and you can determine how you're going to get that money. The next slide, you're going to see 6, 7, 8, and 9, and this is a process. And so after you get the staffing, and after you get the budget, and you start working on the budget, then you need to do the training. This is my experience. The reason I have these broken up in 2 different slides, my experience is most churches and organizations, maybe businesses and schools, they're good at the first 5. Man, they can write a vision, they can cast a vision, set goals, strategy, staffing, and budget. But for these next 4 that are just as essential and critical, they fail. They're weak at it. And so training. When you get staff, you have to provide training. That's what this course is all about. This is one training procedure that you can send volunteers through, you can send new staff through to be able to train them. And so everybody needs to be trained. Please don't just give them a book or give them a manual or even verbally say, this is what I want you to do. There needs to be a simple job description, at least for every role in your organization, church, business, and school. And there needs to be training. What kind of training is necessary to increase the capacity of those? Major weakness in most entities. And then after the training, there's the overseeing. Overseeing means that someone has to go check it out. Now, when I was pastoring a campus of our large church here in Phnom Penh for about 3 years, and it was about an hour away from where I lived through majorly congested traffic, and so it was a bit of a pain, bit of a burden for me to have to travel all the way over there. But I did it, and then we helped the church grow to a certain level, and I trained somebody else and turned it over to them. But you know what? What I'm telling you to do in all of these lessons, this is exactly what I did to see this church grow to the level that it grew at before I turned it over to someone else. But this aspect of overseeing, I had to go check up on the children's ministry from time to time, maybe once a month or once every 2 months, youth ministry, discipleship classes, whatever the worship team, English classes, educational classes that we were doing. And so I had to show up and check it out. I just go and check it out, maybe there for 30 minutes, just to see, is it going well? Major lack. Often, senior leaders, they turn their work over, they delegate it to someone else, which is a positive thing, but they never follow up with that person. And so really, the senior leader is up here. Here's another key for you. The higher level leaders usually don't know anything that's going on, reality, at the lower level. They get reports from below. Sometimes the reports are accurate, sometimes the reports are not accurate. The only way to know is for you to go check up on it. Just take a look. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, how does it seem to be going? Is it meeting our goals? Does it have the characteristics that we want, the flavor that we want? And so there's training, there's overseeing, and then after you oversee, there's the evaluation. How is it going? You know, many times that I would go into a particular ministry and I would say, you know, this aspect is going well, but this aspect is not going well. It's weak in this particular aspect of what we want to do. And so that's the evaluation. So I would meet with the leaders, I would meet with some of the volunteers, and then we would discuss it, and we would discuss, so this area is well, this area is not well. And so what can we do about that? That's the evaluation process. And the final one is the adjustment. Well, they say, well, Pastor, the reason we can't do this is because this is this. Okay, you're right. You're right. I think that maybe we can't do it that way, so let's make adjustments. Maybe our vision was too big. Our goals were too big. Maybe we didn't see something that we should have saw. And so you make adjustments as you go along. This 9-step process is a continual process. Yes, continual process from birth to death and throughout all aspects of your organization. That's why you must be skilled, at least to a certain level, in management skills, or you must find somebody that is skilled, because this is management kind of stuff. Not really the stuff that I like to do, but I have to do it. And so these are the 9 processes, the steps in the process of accomplishing anything with efficiency and effectiveness. And so for all of your departments, you have to go through this. And then finally, when it comes to implementing the vision, sometimes you just have to do it by yourself. If you're not able to gather the people that you need to do what needs to be done, sometimes you just have to do it yourself with the eye of developing others, with the goal of developing others to do it. And so you gain the personal experience, you blaze the trail, you lead the way, but you're bringing others along with you to show them how. So sometimes you see the guy walking in the forest by himself, he's walking alone. Sometimes a leader has to walk alone. You have to blaze the trail. You have to make it happen. That's why you're a leader. If you can't make it happen, you might not yet be a leader. And so we have to overcome our emotional handicaps, our personality handicaps, any other weakness that we have. And sometimes we just have to stand up and we have to get it done. But you get it done with the mindset you're looking for someone else to bring along with you so that you can develop them and give it off to them to do. Finally, on the last slide, we come to our questions. And so again, if you're by yourself, you can pause the video at this point, and I want you to give thought, write it down, take out your pad and pencil, or again, writing at this point is better than typing, because writing does something with your brain and puts it down into your heart that typing doesn't do, but you type it or put it into your phone if you want as well. But here's 3 questions for you. What are some ways we can share our vision with others? So brainstorm. If you're in a small group of 3 people, discuss this amongst yourself, write down some ideas. How can we share the vision for children's ministry? How can we share the vision for our new restaurant? How can we share the vision for our new outreach or program in our organization, or the new class that we're offering, our new location, whatever it may be? Think creatively. Now, here's another thing, by the way. Think modernly. Don't think what has been done 50 years ago. Look around you. This is another key that we'll be talking about. A leader pays attention to what's going around in the world and takes advantage of modern technology, takes advantage of modern resources. So what are some of the ways you can share your vision with others? Number 2, if our vision is to start a coffee shop, how can we persuade investors or customers to join us? What benefit is that to them? You're going to need some startup money, or you want people to make it if it's a church. But let's just use this as an example. If you want to start a coffee shop, how can you persuade? Discuss it in your groups or give thought to it by yourself. And number 3, read again the 9 steps to project completion. And so do you have any questions? And mark which ones are you strong, make a plus for the ones that you're strong on, and make a minus for the ones that you're not so strong on. So again, I want to thank you. It's Charles McCall, Mentoring Growing Leaders, Leadership 101, and we'll meet next time for our next lesson.